Hey, Planeswalkers, Mythras here. Hope you're doing well and staying safe. Today we got a number 3 deck, top 10 deck in Historic. Super excited about this. And not only that, this particular archetype is starting to make a very, very big comeback. So, Planeswalkers, before we check out the deck, we're going to talk about the main board. We'll talk about the sideboard today. And additionally, we'll talk about how we bring those together for our best of 3 matches. And then we'll go play some competitive Magic here in both best of 1 and best of 3, additionally in Mythic. So very excited about that. Now, before we check it out, I just want to say thank you. As always, appreciate your support. Please feel free to subscribe to the channel down over there. Additionally, if you like the video, please like it. You can like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter and Twitch. Stay up to date on daily content like this. Other ways to support the channel down below in the description. Feel free to become a patron or a YouTube member. Additionally, you guys can track my journey on Untapped, and I got the companion app there available for you as well. Now, before we do go look at the deck list today, just so that you know, there are timestamps down below, so you can skip to the portion of the video that makes sense that you're happy to check out. All right, so we have today, as I mentioned, a number 3 historic deck. We are playing Sultai Midrange. So Sultai Midrange has made a impressive comeback here, coming out of the good old Kaladesh Remastered. So we did get a couple of key pieces, which we'll talk about here in a second, that have certainly helped kind of shape the meta and have given this deck a little bit more viability. So before we get started, as always, the deck list is available for you down below in the description, so you have access to it right away. Additionally, the deck link is there as well. And then also a nice, happy shout out to a player by the name of V. Cardarelli. Cardarelli was the one that piloted this deck to a nice rank 3 here. So let's go ahead and check out what we got going on. So quickly here, we'll do our flyby, and then we'll come back. We'll talk about each of the pieces in and of themselves, and then we'll go ahead, as I mentioned, and talk a little bit about the sideboard here. So here's what we got going on at a high level. Very, very excited. Lots of good key components that we have going on here. And a few nice pickups again from Kaladesh there. So first off, we have Pact of Negation. So here we can counter target spell at the beginning of our next upkeep, pay 5. If we don't, we lose the game. So this is really, really helpful in terms of some of that additional, if you want to protect some of these higher end cards that are going to make an impact on the game, you can play that on the top of that and then untap the 5 on the next turn. So lots of things to keep in mind, as well as some of these other things that are definitely going to help you kind of close the match. So it's a good one of to have. And also, if you have to shut down your opponent in terms of a game winner, this is really going to help you too on that side from the offensive or defensive. Then we got Fatal Push. So Fatal Push is one of the key cards, if not the key card, that Sultai Midrange has picked up. It's an instant speed kill spell. We can destroy target creature if it has converted mana cost 2 or less. And for Revolt, so destroy target creature if it has converted mana cost 4 or less instead, if a permanent we controlled left the battlefield this turn. So this helps us increase its viability in the early game, which is really, really important. This is going to make it a better matchup against things like goblins. Will help you a little bit against the Mono Red, and also against those UW Auras decks and anything else within that aggro space. Then we got Thoughtseize. So again, rounding off here for our 1-drops, target player reveals their hand. We choose a non-land card from it. That player discards that card, and then we lose 2 life. We got good old Growth Spiral here for the ramp, so we get to draw a card. We get to put that extra land onto the battlefield, giving us a lot of uplift. We got Hydroid Krasis, a flying trampler. Whenever we cast a spell, we gain half X life and draw half X cards, round down each time, and then when it enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. So even if they still counter it, if they're not playing the Whirlwind, we're still going to get that draw and that life gain, which is huge in terms of replenishing our hand. Then we got Narset, part of the Veils, a legendary planeswalker here. Each opponent can't draw more than 1 card each turn, so very helpful locking down the UW Auras decks, helpful in the mirror match, helpful against Simic, some of those decks that are also running Euro, and can help you against the Paradox Engine decks. But here for our down 2, we can look at the top 4 cards of our library. We may reveal a non-creature, non-land card from among them, put it into our hand, put the rest on the battlefield or on the bottom of our library in a random order. So we got a lot of stuff that we can use. So another option to help us get there. We got Maelstrom Pulse then. So this sorcery spell, we can destroy target non-land permanent and all other permanents with the same name as that permanent. So very, very big against some of the aggro decks where we can get a 2-for-1 there. Then we have good old Euro Titan of Nature's Wrath, the good old card that you either hate it or you love it. When it enters the battlefield, we sacrifice it unless it escapes. Whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, we gain 3 life and draw a card, and then you may put a land card from your hand on the battlefield. So giving us ramp, giving us replenish, giving us life, helping keep us out of reach of certain death very quickly, and a lot of things. And then obviously for 4 there, we can exile 5 other cards from our graveyard and bring this bad boy back in. Then we got Extinction Event. So here, a board wiper, we can exile each creature with converted mana cost of the chosen value, which is either odd or even, and then 0 is even, so that gets rid of those lovely tokens. Then we get a nice 4/4 strap across everything, making creatures get -4, -4. I shouldn't say everything, creatures. Then we have another powerhouse here, Nissa Who Shakes the World, our 5-drop Planeswalker. We get additional mana tap with it for Forest here. And then we get the good old put 3 counters on up to 1 target non-creature land we control, untap it, it becomes a 0/0 elemental creature with vigilance and haste. Still a land until end of turn, down 8. We get an emblem with lands we control, have indestructible. We can search our library for any number of force cards, put them on the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle our library. Great finisher. And then Casualties of War. So here the 6-drop will be the top end of our curve. It's a sorcery spell. We can choose 1 or more, destroy target artifact, creature, enchantment, land, and planeswalker, and or really. But we get a lot of things we can hit. So very, very powerful card there. And then obviously here is the mana base that we have. So again, as I mentioned, we did get a couple pickups. I thought, no, maybe not. We're not running any in this one from Kaladesh. So that's what we got main board. We are running 28 lands main board, so that's a lot. But obviously very, very important for us in terms of the ramp. You want to move really, really quickly to the late game, and that will certainly help us lock up a lot of matches against some of these aggro decks and be more successful against some of the mid-range. This is mid-range, other mid-range. Then again, here's the sideboard. So when we talk about our best of 3, we got a lot of different options here, which is pretty popular in terms of how the historic format goes. So first off, we got Grafdigger's Cage. Creature cards in graveyards and libraries can't enter the battlefield. Players can't cast spells from graveyards or libraries. So this card does shut down some of our own play with Euro, but you're primarily going to be looking at gaining value off this against your opponents. This will shut down Muxus and the Goblins decks. This will also shut down any top decking play in terms of playing off the top of the deck. Also shuts down good old sacrifice decks. That's a big one there as well. An option that you could always do instead of this, it's not necessarily going to shut down kind of looking through your library kind of deal, but you could always play the good old ley line as well. Then we got Aether Gust here. So this is return target spell or choose target spell or permanent that's red or green. Its owner puts it on the top or bottom of their library. You're going to play this against red or green decks. This could be Gruul aggro. It could be Mono Red Goblins. It could also be Jund or Rakdos Sacrifice. You could play it against Rakdos Arcanus as well there. Another good spot that it can work out is also against Bant. So something to think about there. And then obviously the mirror match, you can play it. Then we got Disdainful Stroke. So Disdainful Stroke here is counter target spell with convert mana cost 4 or greater. You're going to want to play this against things like Azor's control decks. So that's good old Brad Barclay's deck, you guys that I ran, that you guys can check out. So that's a good one where you can play it against. You can play it in the mirror match. Anything that's more late game, kind of control-y, this is going to be a good one for you to have. And additionally, again, in some of the mirror match. Then we got Negate. So Negate here is a great counter target non-creature spell. It's going to run well against Aura's decks. It's going to run well against sacrifice decks. against this mid-range deck in particular, other control decks as well, and then obviously the UW control deck like we just mentioned. Then we have Legion's End. So Legion's End is a popular card from M20. It exiles target creature an opponent controls with convert mana cost 2 or less, and all other creatures that player controls with the same name as that creature. Then that player reveals their hand and exiles all cards with that name from their hand and graveyard. So I would play this against things like goblins. I would play this against other aggro decks like UW Auras, also the Gruul decks. Will work well against also sack decks. Lots of decent spots for this one. We got another Narset part of the Veils. So here we already talked about this. I would play this one for certain against other mid-range and late game matchups when you need to look for the right answers. And that's going to be, you're probably going to shift into more of that control match. So this is definitely one that you want to have, and you want to make sure you're shutting down your opponent's draw as well. We got Cry the Carnarium. So here, sorcery speed spell. All creatures get -2/-2 till end of turn. Exile all creature cards in graveyards. And all graveyards that were put there from the battlefield this turn. If a creature would die from it this turn, exile it instead. So good against those aggro lineups, mono red, burn decks potentially if they're running more of the creature-based burn. You could also play it against the UW Auras decks, a great turn 3 recovery one to kind of clip things and get them off the board. Other aggro decks, this is definitely going to be a card for you to play. I wouldn't play this against control decks or even some of the mid-range decks. Then we got Extinction Event, choose odd or even. We covered this already, and you get to exile those cards. If you're going to play this again against the creature lineup decks, I would run it potentially against mid-range if you wanted to. It's not a bad sub for Anguish. If you wanted to get your opponent's Euros off the board as well, something like that. But it works well against all the other aggro decks that we already talked about. You could run it against the Mardu Vehicles deck as well. I didn't mention that. You could run against the Boros version, some of those additional Kaladesh ones there. But obviously any of the other aggro decks that we already talked about, UW Auras, Orzhov Auras too. You could run this against mono red aggro, goblins, those kinds of things. Then we got Elder Gargaroth, Vigilance, Reach, Trample. Whenever it attacks or blocks, choose one. We get to create a 3/3 green beast creature token. We gain 3 life or we draw a card. I like this in the mid-range lineup counter matchup, so mirror match, and I also like it against some of the late range or late game decks. It's a very powerful finisher, and honestly, it wouldn't necessarily be bad against an early game if you can get the nice ramp going. This getting that additional life back could be very, very powerful and beneficial for you as well. Then last but not least, Shark Typhoon. Again, here we can create a XX blue shark creature token with flying with the cycle for X, paying that 2, or we can have it enter as an enchantment that whenever we cast a non-creature spell, we get to create an XX blue shark creature token with flying, where X is that spell's converted mana cost. I think it's great against early game, mid-range, and late game. The ability to get a shark if you need it, to find an answer and get through things if you need it, is very helpful. So I don't mind it there. Mid-range, again, the ability to look for answers, get around things, is going to be helpful. And then same with kind of the last matchup there. And if you can get it on the board and protect it, you'll be in a good spot. So that Planeswalkers is the sideboard. We're going to talk about how we pull these two together for the aggro matchup, the mid-range matchup, and the late game matchup, and then we're going to go play some Mythic Magic for you today with it here in Historic. One of the things, just quick comment here though, that I do find a little bit interesting is it's not running the Mystical Disputes, which isn't a bad slip either. That could always be a nice craft savings for you potentially there. So first off, aggro lineup. What I would run is a couple things here. So if you're not, and I'm going to get rid of the Lurrus decks, UW Auras decks, those kinds of things, the Graph Digger Cage here, as well as maybe even Rogues. Again, not necessarily being specific, this obviously is an option that you may run. Aether Gust could be an option that you run, but more importantly, I think what you'll tend to run more is potentially Legion's End, Cry the Carnarium, Extinction Event, These are going to run well against the Elves decks too. We didn't talk too much about Mono Green Stompy, but mainly these ones. And then potentially optionally, like I said, these two aren't bad. So we have a few other ones. So I'll say like 6. We'll go 6 cards. It's probably going to be between 6 and 10. So I'll make sure I give you some options in terms of what you're going to board here. But what I would do is, one, you could probably dump the Pact of Negation. You're not going to need that. You may want to run it against a Muxus deck or Goblins deck just to get Muxus off. But at this point in time, you're probably not going to want to run the one of. You're going to want it to be more narrow in terms of what the goal is, and that's getting lots of 2-for-1s and controlling the board. Particularly to get to some of your sweeper stuff at the higher end. So that I would look to move out. I would also consider Narset part of the Veils, to be honest. It's the only reason why I would keep it in is to dig for these answers here. So that's just a consideration. I would maybe drop 1 Hydroid Crisis. I would keep Maelstrom, I'd keep Euro. We're going to keep these. I would also probably drop out Casualties of War, to be honest. And then you're going to stick here at the top end. So if we go 1, 2, potentially 4, 6. Now, the other thing that you can do very, very easily, particularly in this deck, is you are at 28 lands, which is great, but you could protect some of the other pieces of this deck if you wanted to by taking out a couple lands. And where I would focus in terms of lands, we got 14, 14, 18. You're probably going to want to try and save some of the green. But if we look at the sourcing, 56% there, 14, 10, 10. You could be safe, in my opinion. You could be safe. Now, you got to be careful on the Fabled Passages. Excuse me. You got to be careful on the Fabled Passages because we only have 6 that we can pull. So this becomes a dead card rather fast. I would almost consider cutting the Fabled here, to be honest, because most of the other things are going to be more beneficial to you otherwise. So you could consider cutting like 2. I would maybe at most go 2 Fabled. It's not, the thinning's nice, or you could go down to 1. If you do want, I like Shocks still because we have enough life gain here. You could drop a Triome if you wanted to. The Cycle's still nice. If you are going to cut, you could always cut maybe one forest, swamp, or island. I wouldn't go any beyond that. That's a lot of lands you can cut, a lot of options depending on what you're pulling in and what you're boarding, so you can keep those things in mind as well. So that's how I'd play the aggro lineup. A nice healthy blend between some of the main board cards here, some of the land stuff to get us to what we need to be. And again, that gives you a nice range between 6 and 10. So now when we go into the mid-range matchup, you're going to be facing a lot of the similar style decks. It's primarily going to be a mirror match given the current state of the meta, but you may run into some more. I like to consider Sacrifice somewhat of a mid-range deck because it just goes a little bit slower. So you could face a lot more of those in this space. Graph Diggers, you certainly probably going to end up running. You're probably going to end up with the Disdainful Stroke negates potentially because again, your match. You're probably going to want to run Narset part of the Veils. You may want to go Elder and you may want to go Shark Typhoon. Just a couple of thoughts, and then again, this is going to be situational. So if we look at it again, let's say six cards here. What are you going to move out? Unless you're playing the sack decks, you're probably not going to run Fatal Push, to be honest. You're not going to get a lot of value, so that's a first consideration. The other considerations begin to be Extinction Event Languish if they're more mirror match here, and that's where we're going to pull in some of your bigger stuff to kind of help with your top end and really focus on slamming these guys, and then also, and I should say these guys for the ramp, and then also focus on that counter magic. So that's really how I would move some of those things around. If they are more creature heavy though, you still have the opportunity on Fatal Push. You got the opportunities on these ones to kind of move in, and then you're not going to be pulling in some more of the counter spells. All right, so that's how I would play that matchup. And then last but not least, the more controlling type decks, late game decks. This is going to be more primarily your UW control. You could consider band control, even some of the mono white prison decks, and then obviously again Sultai Mid Range or Sultai control kind of a deal. You're going to be more again in this space on Disdainful Stroke, negates, Narset, Part of the Veils, Shark Typhoon, maybe Elder Gargaroth kind of a thing. So very similar to the mid-range matchup. The late game matchup is going to be kind of Echo. Again, easy ones to pull out, Fatal Push, and these ones here, that's 7. So those are all kind of the considerations that I would make. And then it's going to be really about pace, really about countering your opponents, getting your stuff on, and locking down your board. So Planeswalkers, with that said, that is the main board, that is the sideboard. We talked about how to pull those two together for the best of 3 lineup. We're going to go ahead now and play some competitive Magic. I'm super excited about this deck. Again, number 3, awesome deck by our friend V. Cardarelli. All right, let's go ahead and play some Magic. So there's the top 25 Selesnya 4 power aggro deck. You guys should absolutely check out. Super hot right now. All right, in standard anyway. And historic ranked. There we go. There's the Orzhov Auras deck I did a little bit ago. You guys can check that one out. But we are playing Sultai Mid Range today. All right, and we are playing these in best of 1. Like I said, it's going to be a little slower in best of 1, so we'll see how we do. Best of 3 is going to be a better matchup, hopefully. But as always, Planeswalkers, a huge thank you. I really appreciate your support. Please feel free to subscribe to the channel down over there. Additionally, like the video if you like it. You can like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitch. Stay up to date on daily content like this. We got a good old, nice competitive match here against a Thoris deck. So this could be a Arcanist. I'm going to keep this because we got lots of good ramp. Could be an Arcanist deck, could be Auras deck, lots of different options. So it's going to be a UW Auras deck, which I can play. So the question here is, and this is the challenge. So we want to be playing Growth Spiral next turn. If we do that, though, we can definitely play Thoughtseize. I could play Thoughtseize now and pick out SRAM or the core if I wanted to. I'm gonna have to, I think I need to do this first so that I can do that next turn. And we'll get the Growth Spiral into a Thoughtseize. And it's unfortunate we don't have the Fatal Push. So there's the core. Alright, now we'll Thoughtseize. We'll see what we got here. Ooh. Ouch. We're gonna get rid of Stay. Didn't really matter, to be honest. I just didn't want to give him a life gain. So without a Fable or a Fatal Push here off the bat, it becomes really tough. Now we are not going to be able to play. We'll have to see. So the play here to stay alive. One more time, is going to be Hydroid Crisis. I can wipe. I could wipe, but I have to go Hydroid Crisis to block here. That's the only choice I have. So we'll play that. Grab another Forest, because we get better value there. Now, what we would need is we would have needed to stay in this. We would have needed again that. Well, they got it. So we would have needed the good old Fatal Push if they wouldn't have drawn that, but they had the out. We could have wiped the board with Foundation and then potentially hit Core Spirit Cancer. So went exactly like I thought in best of one. So let's go ahead into the next lineup there. So we pulled a loss against Sirakas, top 1200 player though. So nothing wrong with that. Let's go ahead into our second best of one match here today. Again, just got to think about what we're keeping here. We got Nick Copernicus. So here's a Fatal Push. Here's Thoughtseize. We're not first again. We do have a line here, a line of sight. So I will keep it. They did not. So we'll play this first. They did not play something turn one, so I'm okay with that. Ooh, here we go. I'm gonna ramp.
More control. Study. Focus.
All right.
I just want to burn stuff already.
Let's do this. With this. There we go. We'll keep ramping. There we go. That one tapped. So next turn, we can actually get Euro back. Boom! Yeah, they weren't gonna keep up there. So 1-1 in best of one. I think that might have been a Cavalcade deck. Could have been. They clearly knew that given our ramp, they were hosed, but nonetheless, we'll take it. So now we're gonna go play some best of three here. Happy with the results in best of one. Let's do and see what happens now today in our best of three. So traditional, historic, ranked. Again, guys, go check out that top 100 Orzhov Auras deck. Here we go with our Sultai Mid Range. Now, Planeswalkers, as always, huge thank you. Really, truly appreciate your support. Please feel free to subscribe to the channel down over there. Additionally, like the video if you like it. You can like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter and Twitch, stay up to date on daily content like this. Other ways to support the channel down below in the description. Feel free to become a patron or a member to the channel. And then also I have a Discord channel there available for you too. Down there as well. All right, so we got Last Sends here. Top 700 player we're taking on. Oh, and we finally get to play first, so I will take that. We got nice ramp here that I will absolutely keep. So this should be a nice matchup here. So enters tapped unless we control a forest or an island. This is a forest or an island. We'll enter tapped though because we don't have a turn one play. Would have been nice to have a Thoughtseize, but I'm not going to complain with what we got going on here. If we can slam Nissa rather quickly. Here comes the Thoughtseize. If we can slam Nissa rather quickly, we'll be in a good spot. I have a feeling though they're going to hit Nissa. At least that's what I guess. Yep, there we go. So we'll do this. We'll do that. And let's go with the Triumph. So we will do this first. Put that on. You can also go fetch. Go grab a green. again. And we'll hit him with the Thoughtseize, and let's see what we got. Alright, so the only thing that we need to pull out is Thoughtseize so they don't pull the Hydroid Crisis. Alright, so we can pull that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, we haven't played a land yet, so we can get real risky. How many is that anyway? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They can play an extra land. They're going to get that. So to be safe, let's play this first. Alright, we'll get that there. And then we'll go 3. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Go 5. So they do the drain. Oh, here's what we're gonna do. Do I want to Fatal Push him? I think I just wipe it and save that. There we go. That's fine. I'm going to wipe it first. So we can bring him back. And now it's all top deck magic. So we'll do this. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm gonna bring this in. Nice. So here is where Pact of Negation is going to play off. We'll keep that. Pact. Well, 2 or less. I'm gonna pact it. green.
If you wish to surrender now, I understand. Hone your prowess.
We'll take the Thoughtseize. Do we want to look at their hand? I think we do, just in case. There we go. Good, 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 good. So they could crack a few things here. This is gonna hurt. This will hurt. Oh, we got it. We got it. So big plays here now. So we're gonna need graph diggers. Absolutely. Extinction event, these are still helpful. I like that. I like the shark. I like that. I'm gonna like the negates and the disdainful stroke. I gotta think though, because this is gonna be a tough one. The fatal pushes did not help us that match. They did not help us that match. So we could drop that. I like the Pact of Negation. They had plenty of 4 counter. Okay on non-creature spells. This would help against Hydroid too, or to pull our own guys back. Something to consider. We were good on the lands. You guys know I like to run a little bit tighter though. I might do 1 Fabled, 1 Swamp. Gets us a little closer. Extinction event. We'll keep that. This is still helpful as a one-off. Oh, let's go. The gate's still slightly narrow here. Alright, I think this is what we'll run. I do prefer extinction. There were 4, so they're going to be evens. And that still hits Euro 2 if we need it. Alright, that's what we're going to play. Against Last Sins here. Top 700 player. I still like this. I do like it. We don't have. That's fine. They're gonna hit the Nisses. Good news is that's going to feed our Euro. And very close. Very, very close. So Fatal Push would still hit the Dryad, but we'd have to lose something, so that it's not the value that we're going to get from it isn't as good as I would like, unfortunately. Graph Diggers is a bigger one for us. there. Let's dig. Get our exile going here. Let's fetch. We'll bring in our hero first. Let's go grab Forest.
I must go.
They're making that move. Making the move. All right. I'm gonna look. There we go. Dump that one. Now we could wait on that, but I'm not going to do that. Extra play is gonna kill me. Yeah.
We will not fail. The land shall conquer you.
I'll play this first.
Mind and body should move in unison. I have just the trick for this. Interesting technique. I have reached my limit.
We just need to hit our exile card. Oh. Oh. Good news is we can now bring our Euro back. Unless they kill us, which they may get there. They do it lethal. Nice. Well played. Well played. So now we're going to put the Fatals back because they will stack with Hero. We know that the Dread Presence is the combo in the deck. We didn't see it as much in the first one. Thought maybe they were going a little bit different routes, but we'll gain more value back that way. So we'll pop the Fatal Pushes back. We'll pop Extinction Event and Languish. We don't need Negate so much. Disdainful Stroke we can keep. Elder Gargaroth was nice, but we don't need that so much. Maelstrom we can definitely keep. Grafdigger's creature cards. So didn't really help. Because they're mainly playing the lands, so we actually can pull that out. We'll keep the Fatal Push. We'll keep the Negate, the Pact and Negation. We didn't get to our Shark Typhoon. I'll go 1 on that. And I'll drop 1 Extinction Event. Well, it's still better than the Languish, I think. So we got 2. We want to keep Nissa. Shark Typhoon's not bad. I'll drop it though. And let's get 1 more out of here. We'll do the 1 Fatal because we got enough higher end coverage now again. There we go. Alright. Can't let the engine go in on both sides. We are first though this time at least. And let's go from here. My friends, play first. We will keep this. A really, really nice start for us. So even if they do hit us with a good old Thoughtseize, we'll be in a decent spot. Actually, we'll cycle. Do I want to hit him? I'm going to get rid of that 3. Go on. There we go. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we'll pay 6. Still get our trigger. And we have Disdainful Stroke. so we could do this.
I shall miss your
Fight on
company.
without me.
Cool. It's a good matchup. Oh. They're not going to drop the Citadel, I don't think yet. Don't think yet, but I could be wrong here. That's fine, that allows me to get Euro back now. So we need to get something that's going to allow us to kill one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8. Let's go 6. Oh, we need the path negation. Cost them 3 here. Can't play off the top. They'll bring one back anyway. Oh, shoot, shoot, shoot. I'm gonna block. Well, no. I'll take the damage. They'll play the next guy. They'll keep draining me now. I think they got their combo in. Yeah, there it is. Good matchup nonetheless. We gave it a shot. We did not hit any of our board wipes. nothing over board wipes, unfortunately. So that is certainly how it goes in Magic today. We did not hit any overkill spells. We did not hit any of the board wipes in our third match like we would have expected, but it is what it is. Nonetheless, very happy with the deck. Again, this is a top tier deck for sure. We played a nice little combo deck against our opponent, and that is how it goes. So top 700, happy with the matchups for the day. We'll let them finish out their triggers here, my friends. They didn't finish. Oh my gosh. That would be, this would actually be hilarious. I don't know. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we could play that. We don't have enough, but this will do it. We need to keep 2 blacks. There we go.
My mind
I
needs
must
a
seek
rest.
comfort in the land.
Oh. That's kind of funny, actually, that they didn't finish us. I was saying it was over already. Well, I have to block. I don't have a choice. I'm going to let it play out the deck so you guys can see it. Most certainly. I will laugh so hard if they let me go to another turn. If they let me go to another turn, I hit them with Casualties of War, I will laugh so hard. Oh, we needed one more turn. That would have been hilarious if we would have pulled that off, where they were getting too cocky there. That would have been so funny, but obviously they knew that they only needed one, so we could have smoked them with Casualties of War, and it would have been hilarious, but we lost. So, oh, those are the small things in Magic that would have been really, really heartbreaking for them. All right, nonetheless, Planeswalkers, really, really enjoyed that match. Super fun. I hope you guys enjoyed the deck as well. Again, this is a number 3 Sultai historic mid-range deck by V. Cardarelli. Great match. Nonetheless, we split best of 1. We lost the best of 3 to a nice little fun combo deck as always. That's how it goes. So questions or comments, let me know down below. Always happy to help. Feel free to hop in the Discord, all that jazz. Certainly Sultai Mid Range has done a nice job. We got a lot of great options here. We just didn't hit what we needed to. Almost did right at the end there with Casualties of War. It was pretty funny, but we didn't win. If we would have got it, that would have been a very great match. Anyway, Planeswalkers, really, really like it. As I mentioned, this is definitely a top tier deck. I think probably tier 1 with that anyway. And stay tuned. I do got the historic tier list here coming soon. So with that said, Planeswalkers, as always, huge thank you. Appreciate your support. Please feel free to subscribe to the channel down over there. Additionally, like the video if you like it. You can like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter and Twitch to stay up to date on daily content like this. All right, you stay safe. Other great ways to support the channel down below in the description. Appreciate all the patrons and also the YouTube members. So thanks, you guys. With that said, you guys stay safe. Until next time, we'll see you soon. Mythras out, and a lot more content coming your way, Planeswalkers. Take care.